Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. The R-Rated Podcast. This week's guest is...
Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. Today's guest is Kaylee Kavnar.
I actually met Kaylee on Fatal Attraction.
But I know you've worked on a lot of different shows, but I want to take it back a little bit and ask you where you're from and what sparked the interest into the film industry.
I grew up in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, okay. I love Colorado.
Mile High City. That's all we get. It's always like, do you smoke weed? Do you snowboard? Do you snowboard and smoke weed on your way to school? Like, it's always something like that. Yeah, no, it was a great place to grow up. I lived like in a little suburb area called Broomfield.
Okay.
Like right in between Boulder and Denver.
Love it.
I wanted to do something in film, and it's not a film area.
I was going to say.
Believe it or not. Yeah. So I moved out here in August of 2020, peak COVID.
Oh, so you're actually like kind of not new, but like it's been like what, 3 years now? Yeah.
Yeah, in August it'll be 3 years.
Wow. Okay, so
crazy.
Did you graduate school or like what stage in your life are we at?
Like,
yeah,
right
no, for sure. So I graduated from high school a semester early.
Ooh, okay.
It's like my proudest moment.
I was gonna say, wait, how does one graduate a semester early? Because I certainly did not.
Yeah, no, I just did a bunch of like online classes, everything I could do in order to get out of there. I was just ready for something new, and like I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to work in film, and so I didn't, have the whole process of like figuring it out. It was like, what can we do to get me there quicker? And it was to work and save money. So I graduated a semester early. I took a gap year.
Nice.
Worked 2 jobs. Literally worked like 6 days a week.
What were the jobs?
I was a nanny, which is
so love it. Fun. I love it. Yeah. I feel like you have to kind of do some nannying like in your life, like once.
I was also a receptionist at a hair salon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was really fun. I got to, experience the customer service aspect, a lot of like scheduling, maintenance in the salon. But no, it was so fun. And I loved the girls I worked with there too. They're all like these women who have their own families and they're all just like trying to grow their business. And it was so motivating to be around that, especially wanting to go into film and like women representation isn't always huge here. So I was like, this is a good, it's like sparking my interest of like, this is what it means to be, I like, kind of hate this term, but like girl boss.
Right. No, we have to say it, girl boss. Oh, it's cute.
Yeah. And so I just did that and I loved it and it was so fun, but it wasn't, the end all be all for me. I was like, what else is out there?
So did you know what you wanted to do, like going into the industry, like when you moved to LA, like, or was it more like I'll move to LA and then kind of see what like I can do out there? Or was it like, I want to be an actress or like, I want to, like was it more specific?
I think I knew from a young age, always something creative. I was very much like, I couldn't do something like being, all respect to like engineers and people who are really into science and math. And I did decent at it in school, but like it was not.
I was like, I went to film school.
Right. But it was like not what I wanted to do. And so something creative always, I thought maybe like set design, interior design,
fun.
Something like that. I thought about doing makeup and like costumes, but I think ultimately it's like the storytelling that really draws me in. And so writing and directing through school, I figured out was this is my thing.
So
this is my group.
In school, they had like a film class or like something around like similar to that or?
Yeah. So in high school, I took a film class and it was the only thing we offered, lit to film. So you watched movies, kind of like annotated them, analyzed them, books to movies, all of that. And that was where I knew like, I had a feeling before, like this is what I want to do, but after doing that,
confirmed it.
Totally solidified, like this is definitely what calls me, is drawing me in.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, yep, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to graduate early, gonna work, gonna move to LA. And then COVID hit. And I was like unemployed at 19, which was the weirdest thing to experience. And then we got through that. And I was like, if I don't move now, will I ever? If I keep like postponing it or just waiting for COVID to be over, because it's still not over, you know? So it's like, how long would I have been waiting?
Right. Exactly. Like what was the right moment? But that was a big like leap. But and did you have your parents' support on this? Like parents sometimes fear like, the creative business is a little risky, which it is. It's not like your typical like 9-to-5 job.
Always been very supportive.
Yay!
For whatever I wanted to do. Like from the age I was like, I'm gonna be a soccer player, I'm playing soccer.
Yeah.
They showed up to almost every game. I remember my mom had to miss one game, and she was heartbroken. Like, she was so sad about it. But I'm
Mom
like,
of the year. We love that.
It's okay. Yeah, like there's plenty of them, but I knew I had their support doing this. But it was, also scary because I have an older sister, and she still lives in Colorado.
Okay.
And so I was the first to leave and to move. And I think they were like, wow, like our youngest is going to be the one to flee the nest.
Yeah.
To move. And I think we kind of talked about it for so long. We didn't know, like, when is it going to happen with COVID, with me having enough money to even live here.
Right.
I wanted to do it on my own as much as I could. You know, I didn't want them to support me out here financially.
No, that's awesome. That like just shows like, you know, when you're passionate about something and you really want something, you'll go for it and you'll do anything to achieve that. You're in LA now. COVID hit. So did that discourage you from applying to jobs, or are you still like laser focused like you were when you were like, I'm planning to move?
So the reason I moved out here was for school. So I did go to film school, which I feel like is always a topic. It's like do or not do.
Which
you need it or not.
Was it?
It was LA Film in Hollywood. And they have like 2 different programs. You can do 18 months or 3 years. And I'm like, you know what? 18 months, get a good feel of like what it means to work with the camera and kind of be on set. But in this industry, it's all about like your experience. It doesn't really matter if you go to school for 10 years. Like, what have you worked on? What have you done?
Right. Who do you know?
Literally though, like, who do you know?
Right. No, seriously.
And so I wanted like a basic understanding of film. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go like try to make those connections. It was great, but you know, it's online for half of it because of COVID.
Oh my God. Right. I totally forgot about that.
Because it's like all Zoom
I was going to say, is it
classes.
hands-on? Like, you know, are you out there in the field of the camera? Like,
right.
Wow. Okay. So how do you do film school online? Because that's very interesting, since I got the experience of it being hands-on, and then I experienced the last semester online, but it was kind of like already the class, like the boring classes, like the math, you know, like
the
things to
like
just get exactly the things to just graduate. But like, how did you do that online, or did you just like talk about it?
Right. Honestly, like the first 12 months of it were like all online, and it was just kind of trying to get the basics out of the way. So we were doing like the writing and like the film history, and like we had to take a math class, so it would be like,
I know,
considered not a trade school.
Yes.
Easiest class of my life. But stuff like that we try to get out of the way, which is nice. But then there were things I feel like I was still missing, because part of being in a school is like the community. And there's only so much you can do on Zoom, and like people don't turn their cameras on, they don't participate. It becomes so difficult to like create that community and, you know, group with your peers. Like you're not even with them. Some of them weren't even in LA. You know, because you don't have to be. And so it was definitely an interesting experience to navigate. And I am glad I did it, because I met some really cool people through it and learned a lot. But I guess like my advice to anyone is like, do what's best for you. Like, you do not have to go to film school. Like, I would have been totally fine in my path to my career without it. So
I agree with that. Like, unfortunately, I found that out after film school, but you know, this is why we podcast, so we could tell other people, you know, like, you know, when I heard you say like you did the associates program, I was like, that's smart, because like I thought like, oh, I need to like get the bachelor program because like people are gonna ask me about my degree and like so and so, but like honestly, no one asked me about my degree. It's like, what have you worked on? Oh, like, how do you know this person? And then maybe like, oh, like if I mentioned film school, it's like, oh, what film school did you go to? But no one's like, what film school did you go to? You know, it's not like implied, right? It's just like if I want to like bring it up. During your program, are you already applying to jobs, or did you, because you're saying it's online, right? So like, did you have time, or were things still like slow and closed, or like still figuring it out that like you were getting the experience so that by the time things were more open, then you started applying? Or
you know, it's funny, when I first moved out here, I was like, I have to just start kind of from the bottom, which is okay. Like, that's part of the whole process. And so I was a barista.
Okay, yes. You know, I feel like that's part of the story, right?
Totally.
Like the Hollywood
like, if you're
story.
Not like a waitress or a barista, like what are you doing? But it was great, and I did that for like about a year. And then I was applying for more like nanny, personal assistant jobs again, something where I could be more like involved with people, like and have more of a freedom in a sense. Yeah. And so I got a nannying job. Okay. Yeah, I was like a nanny family assistant, and they were also amazing. I got really lucky with all the families I've worked with, which is like, I mean, what more can you ask for? Right. There's definitely a lot of like horror stories I hear. Yeah. In any field, right? Like there's scary, like good and bad. I got connected while I was nannying. One of my roommates, who's now like one of my best friends, she, her cousin works in the industry, and she got a job as a PA on The Rookie. TV show.
Very cool. We love The Rookie. Yeah.
Production assistant. And so that's how I got my job on there to start. And that was my first ever like PA experience.
Okay. And so like, were you nervous? Like, did your friend, did you know anyone on that set?
I feel very thankful because she was working that day too.
Oh,
so like we like roped together. She like walked me through
amazing.
Everything.
Yeah.
Because I knew nothing. I was so green, so new. I was like, I don't know anything. Like I just am here for a good time and to hopefully learn something.
That's how you do it though. You just you get thrown into it and you learn like by doing it.
Still work for them. Like never, so till this day
you're still working.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So still have that connection on that show, and it's just whenever they need some extra help for a day, a week, whatever it is. And I love it. I love the cast and crew so much, and they're great. And it's been like a huge part of my journey, finding out what I want to do. Yeah. And like working in the industry. And I'm grateful to have like that as my first experience. That's
a huge first experience. Yeah. Like, and a very like put together show, right? It's like, it has a lot of seasoned people. So that's a really cool thing to be able to jump into. What, like, now that you've been working on it for like what, like how many months now since?
When was it? I want to say.
I know, I'm like, wait, what month is it?
I know, I'm jumping.
What year is it?
I think like 2021.
Okay, so like almost two years, you would say, or like a year and a half?
I think like a year and a half.
A year and a half. How has your like maybe views changed? Like, has anything changed or your experience changed? Like, do you feel like, has anything changed throughout the duration of the show since you've been there?
Yeah, I mean, I think I started like working on the show thinking, what you have to do is like to be on set as a production assistant for so long, and like that's the only way you can like make it and make those connections. Like
those are the rumors, right? Yeah,
right, like, that's what we all get told. You know, be a production assistant. That's it. And then obviously I learned through that, like becoming a PA is sort of like the gateway onto becoming an AD, an assistant director.
Right.
Which is, again, I didn't know this going into it, but it's so different than a director.
Yes, I know. I know, because I faced the same thing. I was like, oh my God, like, is this the path I'm supposed to take? Because there's not really a clear path.
Oh my God,
they're just like, it's honestly kind of figure it out. Like,
so throw you to the wolves literally, and like, figure it out for yourself.
So now are you like going towards that path, or are you like, no, I don't want to go towards that path?
So I mean, being a PA and like making those connections is amazing. And so I've worked on other shows doing that too. But I don't want to be an AD. I think it's a great job. It's just like not for me. And so kind of figuring out like, well, then what's the path to being a director, to being a writer? And that's kind of where I am now. It's like figuring out, floating a little bit, trying to find those jobs where you can maybe work in office and work your way up. Yeah. Because again, there's like no clear path. Like any single person you talk to who maybe is a writer or director now, no one will have the same story. No one. Which is like comforting, but also annoying.
Also terrifying, because it's just like, so how do people do it? Like, it's like a very general, like, well, like, keep working, like, keep writing, like, keep creating your own stuff. But it's like, yes, I mean, obviously, like, that sounds about right, but like, it costs money to make your own stuff. Like, it's not like we can just like make movies every couple of months, or like, we don't have the budget. Well, I mean, I don't have the budget. I don't know. Maybe you have the budget. I'm like, I should speak for myself. Easier said than done. But yeah, I guess we're both like in that same boat, like figuring it out. And I totally agree. There is no clear path. And every day I kind of like question myself. I'm like, am I going the right direction? Like, what's happening? And
that's the thing. Like, so it is, comforting to know that there's no right or wrong, like no straight, clear path. But then, like you said, terrifying, because you're like, then how did you do it? Like, how does everyone do it if there's no blueprint to follow? You're kind of on your own in a sense.
How did you get from The Rookie to Fatal? Because that's kind of like filming at the same time. I know Fatal's over now. But yeah, how did you transition over? Like, was it because they shot in the same studio? Because I'm not going to name drop the studio, but when we were shooting at the studio for Fatal, there were signs of The Rookie shooting there as well. Right. And like some days you'd walk into the lobby and you're like, am I in a like police department? Like, what's happening? But it was just for the show, because they really convert everything, and the studio is 100% part of it. Like, any corner of the studio could be turned into a movie set. So you never know what you're going to walk into.
No, honestly, it's like such a coincidence that I worked on two shows that also filmed at the same studio, and like we're funded by the same production company overall.
Oh my God. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I basically, when I was working as a personal assistant, more like family assistant, nanny, one of the parents is involved in film and kind of more on the executive business side. Yeah. And they connected me to someone over on Fatal Attraction. That's how I like got into that. So it was funny because it had nothing to do with the Rookie.
Right.
Even though there's like some overlap in the studio.
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah, so
I was like, maybe she was like, what, you know, on set at the Rookie, and then she was like on her lunch break, and then somehow she like crossed paths with Fatal. I was but that's so cool. But that also shows you, like, you know, you never know, even if you work other jobs in LA, in Hollywood, wherever you are in LA, honestly, you could still meet people that can connect you, or, you know, give you these new opportunities that might not scream like new opportunity in the beginning.
Yeah. It's funny because for how like big LA seems, it's so small. Yeah. You know, like jumping back to how you were saying, like when I was a barista, one of the regulars that came in who became like a really good friend of mine does comedy. Fun. And at the theater where he does comedy, one of the actors from The Rookie also does comedy there. And I was like, this is weird because my worlds are like colliding.
Oh my God. Okay.
And there's just like no way that you could ever figure that out. You know, like I don't know how everything's connected, but it's a good feeling to know like, wow, it's a little bit more smaller and I know more people than maybe I think I do, kind of thing.
What a trip. I love hearing when it all like connects. Like it's just like so trippy. I'm like, wow, maybe like you guys were always like meant to meet, and like maybe if you didn't meet that time, you were gonna meet this way or something. I don't know.
It's funny.
Crazy. But okay, so how would you, so you were also a PA on Fatal, same position as Rookie, right? And what would you say, like what was your experience, like any differences, major differences, or is it all like, are the PA jobs very similar to each other? Like what do you think?
Right. Honestly, so The Rookie was like my first ever experience. And through that I was like, oh, this is exactly what PAing is like on every show. But like no, it's different. And so I would say they're similar in a lot of ways, but of course, like every show runs things a little bit differently. And that's what I was kind of navigating. It's like, I didn't have all this experience on all these different shows and different commercials or anything. It was like the one idea I had. So kind of navigating that a little bit was maybe tricky to start, but then you get the flow of it and you understand like what each show has and like what they bring that's a little bit different, but both like so amazing in their own ways. So it was fun. And then, you know, being a PA too, there's like 10 different roles as a PA. There's the one that deals with the cast. There's one that deals with background or with like the walkies and all the equipment, and kind of getting to like play a little bit with each of those different areas is also fun because that's how you learn and grow and figure out like for sure what I want or what I don't want to do.
How do you get picked to, I guess, be one of those specific PAs? Like if you're like, I want to be the talent PA, like are you able to put that request in, or is it given to you?
You know what? Like I don't know the answer to that, only because like being on The Rookie, I kind of just get thrown in wherever they need me, and now at this point like I feel very comfortable like in each position and like knowing.
So you've done
how to help.
All the roles, or like most of them?
Most of them, not all, but like most of them. So now it's like, hey, we need help in this department. I can be like, okay, great, I can do that. And kind of similar on Fatal, I didn't get to like pick because I've never started and finished on a show like working full-time staff. Okay. So it's like when you get thrown in, it's like what's available is available. What they need you to do, you'll do. Like you don't have really much like say. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's more just like you help out where there's help needed. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Which position do you feel, I guess, most comfortable doing, like out of the PA roles?
Honestly, I love doing first team, which is like cast. And I love doing background because I love like connecting with people and getting to like help with that. It's just like a fun experience to get people ready onto set, you know, ready to go. And being with background too, it's really cool because it's definitely more produced than you think, or more like manufactured. I mean, when you're watching a movie and you see all the background actors, you're not really thinking twice, but there's like a whole choreography, like they're figuring out who to like go where, who to cross this way. It's very like thought out and planned, which is funny because again, like growing up watching that, I would never
you don't think about it, and then you're like, oh, the guy in the back eating a sandwich. I mean, that's all planned, you know?
Right, and it's over like and over. Thoroughly planned to make sure it's the same meat.
So what is like a, I guess like a typical day, like how would it start for a PA that's working with background? Like do you go and then do they check in with you and then they kind of like just not follow you around, but like are you guiding them throughout the whole day, or like what is like kind of like the routine of that?
So again, like every show is different, but for The Rookie, for example, they do a lot of scenes, you know, in the police station, and so they'll have like their set core group of background, and they'll come in early. We get in early, check them in, give them their voucher, which is like how they'll get paid and accounted for, basically. They, you know, get into their costumes. If it's like a day where they need hair and makeup, they would do that. they go to set, go to stage, we start placing them, set for the scene, and it's like that. And then they are also in holding a lot of the time when we're not filming and not needing them for stuff.
So what's like, for people who wouldn't know, like what holding is, or like what goes down in holding, definitely. Like what's going on in there?
Holding is like where the background or where actors will go when we're not filming them or they're not like on set. So it's still close on stage, but like basically just so they're kind of out of the way when you don't need them, but then they're close when you do need them. And I mean, it's just like so random. It's not like a designated holding place. You know, it's like wherever there's space on location.
Right. Because I mean, like think about it, when you're on set and they have to like light the actual scene, and like you can't have all, like it's just like it gets too tight and the lights get hot, and then you have like all these people sitting there, and I'm sure it's just a better work environment when like there's less people in the room that need to be, if they don't need to be there, basically. It's better to, you know, go to holding. And okay, so I know like you also have to get them into costume and makeup. Do they start the day off, or like they just get their hair and makeup done for the whole day, and then like you kind of just hope that they don't, you know, mess it up? Or do they get touch-ups too, like the way like first team does?
Honestly, like for the rookie, when they do just their core background, they don't have to see hair and makeup, because it's typically just like the same thing that they have to do. I mean, you wear the same outfit, same look, kind of just like perfected on your own. And then I mean, they have their own makeup and stuff that they bring in to do touches, but I think overall it's like, unless they look like they need something, like the makeup and hair department are kind of like, you guys are fine.
Okay, so
you know,
makeup's not even a must with the BG. Okay, that makes sense. Have you ever had to deal with any background actors that maybe were a little difficult, or I don't know, maybe having a bad day, whatever it may be?
I feel like maybe not like so much difficult, but more or less just like just very like airheaded sometimes, I guess. But more or less just like an interesting experience of just them, I don't know, I guess like not really knowing if they've been new to the show, like not knowing how things are kind of run or worked, maybe.
Like first timers as background actors, or first timers on that show specifically?
Kind of both.
Oh, okay.
Like I've had some people who are first time ever doing background.
Oh,
which is funny, because when I was on the rookie, like I actually started as background, like before I was
No way. Okay. And you're like, now I'm on the other side of things.
Right.
I love it.
So I did it just for like 3 days, I think. But so I get it in that sense. And that was me for the first time ever doing anything. So like I was new to the show, but like new to background.
Yeah.
Couldn't figure it out. So I have sympathy for those people, because I do get it. I do get it. But just sometimes you're like, what is this person thinking? Like, just you have no idea like why they would think a certain way, but everyone's different. So you just have to like learn how to deal with multiple personalities. I feel like that's the best way to put it.
That's a good one. Yes.
Like being able to handle different types of people and being a people person, which for the most part I am.
Yeah, for the most part, keyword most part. But there's some days where I'm sure like you've had long hours. Does the rookie work long? Like, is it mostly 12 hours? Or because, you know, some shows are like, oh, we only do 10 hours, but we don't do like hour lunches. It's like 30 minutes or something. Or some people do 12 hours. Some are even 14 to 16 hours. Like what's the range of hours that you're working a day?
You know, typically on the rookie, they're really good about keeping it quick. I feel like for the most part, it's like under 12 hours or like right at 12, which for TV is like
that's
really
great.
Impressive. Yeah, it's really good. And again, I think it's because it's such like a well-oiled machine.
Right.
You know, so many seasons in, so many of the same people that are a part of the crew, like they just know how everyone works together. So it's fun to be a part of that. And then also figuring out too on like different shows, you know, Fatal Attraction, that was their first season. And like it's all new personalities working together, seeing how it all works. And like sometimes you get behind and how can we catch up and make up for lost time. And it's definitely interesting to like kind of see both sides of like a brand new show that has, what was it, like 8-10 episodes, something like that, and then a show that's on network for 22 episodes.
Wow, that many episodes?
10 months out of the year.
Wow, that's a ton of episodes. Do you think because they're such a seasoned show and they've done, obviously, you know, they're doing this all the time, is it harder to get into that kind of a set? Or do you think they're just as open and like, you know, like newcomers are welcome?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's pretty open. Like I've worked with a lot of PAs on that show who have been just like day players, just coming into work for a day or two. So I feel like they always have new people coming in, but like the core is the same. The core people,
like maybe the same director, the same producer or something.
Yeah,
but the PAs or maybe makeup could switch out or something.
Totally.
Maybe. I don't know.
And
okay.
I mean, granted, if there are 22 episodes and you're together for 10 months, like,
yeah,
by the end of the 10 months, like, you will become best friends with them. So
Right.
even if it wasn't established, like, before,
it is now.
during all of that time, like, you
Right.
become very comfortable with them.
Right.
So now that we're in the new year, I mean, we're like into February, I guess, like the second month in.
Yeah.
What has it been like for you? Has it been, have a lot of projects been starting up? Like, are you looking into new, like, pivoting a little bit more, or maybe doing a couple more PA gigs? Like, what's your vibe? Where are you at right now?
Definitely kind of switching tune a little bit. Like, back in November, I was trying to apply for some more, like, personal assistant, executive assistant jobs within the industry. So doing what I've done before, but now, like, kind of doing it for someone who is maybe like a producer, a writer, a director. That's kind of like where I'm on the way to going, or what I would like to do. But I mean, over the holidays, like, that's the worst possible time to look for a job. Literally. So while I'm like sending all these applications, I'm sending it into a void right now.
Right.
Like, everyone is off. No one's
too,
looking
girl.
at this. So
we were like, I'm out of town. Please don't bother me. Like,
no, seriously.
You're right.
So with the new year, definitely still applying, working a little bit, but like, it is, up and down. Like, the industry, finding jobs and everything, it is so much about timing.
Yes.
Like, you could be so great for a job, but if they're not looking for anyone right now, then like, it doesn't matter.
Or sometimes, like, it could work out, like, you vibe with the person, but like the show gets, it's not approved yet to be greenlit to shoot, or like random stuff just comes in the way, and you're just like, damn it, like, missed opportunities. But that doesn't mean that it won't happen. Maybe it just wasn't the right time at the moment, right? I think that's like another thing I've been trying to like remember, like, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. Like, sometimes, you just can't force something.
Totally. And I think that's huge. Like, being able to know it's like not you, it's just the timing. And if it doesn't work out, like, something else is meant to be, for you instead. Yeah. So I think that's a big thing, is like when you get your heart set on something and you're like super excited about it, and then it falls through and you're like, oh, like, it's like gut wrenching.
It is. It's heartbreaking. Like, you want it to work out. Like, you're like, why not me?
Right.
But it will. So are you writing now? Have you been able to maybe direct some of your own, like, smaller things? Like,
I mean, I feel like I'm always writing, and not always, like, fleshed out screenplays, but I'll be driving and I think of something, it's like, oh, let me write that down.
Yeah.
Things like that. But nothing crazy. I mean, back when I was in school, we were able to do a short film of one of our students, one of our peers. Yeah. And that was really fun to be able to, like, be a part of that and see it come from, like, his writing to a literal short film.
Yeah.
Like, just seeing the whole process and being a part of all of it. Yeah. So that was really great. But again, like you said, it's so much about money and timing and, like, funding. And so I think for me, it's more or less like still creating the ideas and, like, coming up with things that I want to write or want to tell. And then, meeting the right people and being able to, like, have this pitch ready.
What do you like to write? Like, what genre would you gravitate towards? Like, because I feel like I write more, I always gravitate towards drama. Not even I don't always want to, it just happens. I'm like, oh shit, this is dramatic again. Yeah, I'm like, I swear I'm not this dramatic all the time. But yeah.
I mean, I feel like I gravitate more towards kind of like indie type projects.
Okay.
I mean, like, all of my favorite movies are, like, kind of smaller budget, more indie style films. And I think for me, it's because of, like, the storytelling aspect. Yeah. Like, Marvel movies are great. Avatar was amazing. But it's so much about the visuals and, like, the, the CGI and all the technical stuff behind it. And the story's still great, but, like, I want the raw emotion where it's just, like, it's the actors and the setting that makes it what it is.
I 100%, I agree. I'm with you on that one. I feel the same way. Like, I mean, it's really cool, like, all the, special effects, like, visual effects. I think it's really cool, but I don't like, I know that's not my thing. Like, I know that, like, I won't be creating stuff like that. I think I'm better with more, like, authentic, like, real things that are happening, or topics that people are afraid of, like, really digging into. I think that's what excites me. Like, it's just, like, fun. But I think you totally, like, are able to do that. I mean, whenever you have downtime, honestly, just
bust out the screenwriting.
No,
literally, I'm like, I have to do the same. I'm sitting here telling you to do it because I'm like, I need to do it too.
That's the thing. It's like, again, there's no, like, right time to start writing. It's like, when do you start writing, and then when do you, like, start reaching out? It's like, again, there's no timeline. Just like, do it when you have time, when you feel inspired, when you have ideas. Yeah. and go from there. I don't know.
How do you get inspired? Like, what inspires you?
Honestly, I think a lot of the things, like stories I want to tell, a lot come from like my family.
Ooh, okay. I love that.
Yeah. So a big thing I do want to write is like a story about my life with my mom and my sister. We're all very close, 3 women, you know, it's like, in my mind, my pitch of it would be, you know, Gilmore Girls, but a little bit more like gritty and real.
Love it.
Not so fluff. Because I love Gilmore Girls. I do. But, you know, it's not like a crazy drama. It's very like kind of filtered in a sense.
Yeah.
But just like navigating 3 generations too. My sister has a daughter, and like, you know,
amazing.
doing all of that. And I feel like it'd be really fun to see our dynamic on screen.
Totally.
Because we are so close. Like, we love each other so much. And I think
people could relate to that.
Right. And if they don't, then it's like, I hope that they would see that on screen. Like, this is my source of that. Like, this is my comfort. If I don't have a good relationship with my family, like, this can be that for me.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And okay, so now what area, like, you don't have to tell me where you live, but like, are you close, like, do you live close to the studios? Like, what's like your commute like living in LA? Because sometimes, you know, you kind of have to live, work, hang out all in the same area because it's just traffic all day long. And, you know, if you don't plan accordingly, like, how do you make it on time to set? Like, for me, I remember, you know, living in the Valley, and then I'd have to go to downtown for when we did Fatal, and I would, like, 1 minute too late, and I'd be, like, in traffic for an hour, and it'd be like, oh, it's over. Like, I'm not making it.
No, traffic is real, like the LA traffic. And again, let me bring up moving here during COVID again.
Oh my God,
it was so, everyone's like, the traffic's awful. I'm like, you guys are lying. You're all lying to me. The traffic is not bad. And then obviously, like, things picked up again. And I was like, oh, this is what you're all talking about. Yeah, it's awful. And so I think for me, like, where I live is a huge thing. I live really central to LA. So I'm like 15, 20 minutes Santa Monica, 20 to Hollywood, like 15
You're like,
to West
I can be
Hollywood.
anywhere.
Right. And like, I guess the price you pay, it's kind of more of like a in development area. So there's like some good pockets of it, you know.
Right.
But
that's
I
kind
like
of all of LA, right? Like, there's some.
I mean, there's some dodgy streets, but like, that's any city. It's not just like only LA. So I think that's a huge thing, is being close to a lot, so I can bounce around. If it's like you have to film in Santa Monica, then you have to be in Hollywood, then Sherman Oaks, you know, like, just being able to be flexible with that is huge.
Yes. And so now that, I guess, what advice would you give someone, not even someone, but like, I guess other high schoolers that maybe would be watching this that were in the same position as you were, like I want to chase my dream, but it's a very big dream, you know, to just like pick up your bags and just like move to LA. Like, not everyone has the courage to do that. It's a big move. So I guess, what advice can you give someone that's kind of hesitant but really wants to make that big leap?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes I forget that, like, how big of a step it really is, and people will say that to me, and I'm like, I guess it kind of was like a big thing. Yeah. But because it's my life, like, I'm just like, oh yeah, like, what else have I done?
Right.
But I guess my advice would be like, any step is a step. Like, if it's the smallest thing you're doing to make progress towards your goals, and like, you're doing something. Yeah. And I still have to like remind myself that right now, because again, like, applying for jobs and like not hearing anything, or it's like, oh, you're great, but we don't have anything right now. It's like, oh my gosh, like, what is the point of this? But you're doing all the right things. It's just like the timing will work itself out. Yeah. So I feel like remembering kind of why you wanted to start doing this too in the industry. I think like remembering, it's kind of the classic, like, where you came from.
Yes.
But it's true, like, remembering why you wanted to do this. And I think definitely a big thing is like having people in your life who support you and who, you know, keep you grounded in a sense of like, will remind you what your purpose of doing this is for. Yeah. And that's huge. And like, moving to LA, it's a big city. We said it was small, but also like, it's big in the sense that there's a lot of people, and you know, people are very much in their own mindset of like, let me do my own thing, let me chase my own goals. But like, having a community out here is huge, and it took me like 1.5 years, 2 years to like finally find, and I'm still kind of like searching for people too, but like finding a group of friends where I'm like, I feel content with you guys. Like, I feel like this is a good setup.
Right. A good, safe circle. You want to have that trusting circle. But I don't know like what your high school experience was, or like when you were living in Colorado, but you know, you have like your friends, your family, like you're used to the people that like you've grown up with, and now you're putting yourself in a world that's not only like away from your family, but like the industry is known to have, it's very fast paced, you know, there's like a little bit of everything, and sometimes at a young age it's hard to not fall into like traps, or like, you know, like bad. I'm not saying like that's what you were doing at all, because I'm actually like trying to point that out, because I'm like, you're young, but you seem to have like taken the right path, and you didn't get distracted by any like nonsense, or like maybe like even out like sometimes meeting people, like they might seem like they have your best interest, but then it can turn into like something dark or whatever, or someone trying to take advantage of someone that's new here. So, you know, that's really cool to see that you kind of like make room for me. Like, you're not going to trick me into anything.
No, and I think it's huge, like having a good head on your shoulders and just making sure like you're very aware and conscious of like people's intentions.
Right.
And I think a big thing too, not just about, you know, like the dangers and like what else is out there, but more or less just what you feel comfortable doing to like never, you know, like push your boundaries in that sense. Right. But yeah, I mean, just like making sure you know what you're doing, you know what's up, like, and just feeling comfortable in yourself. And then, you know, no job is like worth making you feel weird or uncomfortable either.
Have you ever had to experience something like that on set, like, or anything where like maybe, you know, someone has used their like privilege of, you know, I've been in this industry for a long time, I can kind of say things or, you know, act inappropriate? Has that ever happened to you at work?
Honestly, on set and in film, no. And I feel lucky about that. That's because awesome. I know, again, I've heard stories and people have awful experiences of that. And I, again, feel lucky that like my first few were on very safe sets. Where I like really enjoyed people I worked with and felt very comfortable. But I mean, that doesn't mean in other jobs, like outside of the industry, I haven't experienced that. And it's awful. So, you know, it's not just like, I think people are also sometimes quick to say it's always in film, but like it's any industry. There's
it really
weird people out there. You have to be very guarded and aware of your surroundings, and
sometimes it's not even at work, it's just anywhere. It's just like we're at the grocery store, like what's happening?
I mean, and so I guess there have been times like when we're shooting on location, some random person comes up and it'll be weird, but like that has nothing to do with the production. Like, they cannot control that.
Right.
And if you're filming in areas where it might be like, you know, not the most safe, like safe enough to film, but you never know who's going to walk around and what kind of like pedestrians you're going to have. So again, just being very like aware and conscious. But that's my advice to like any young woman.
I
anywhere.
love it. It's like the dark side of Hollywood.
I'm wondering maybe if it's like when you're on camera, you know, when you're in front of the screen all the time, and like, there's this pressure about what you're wearing, how you look, and all of that. I feel like it kind of can get to people's heads a little bit, and maybe that is where it comes from. But I mean, I know that there are people, like I've had friends who have been behind the scenes and experienced, you know, not like anything that's completely like crossing the line, but it's still like enough to kind of raise warning. And so it's unfortunate, you know, and I hope that, I feel like there's a new wave of like all these films now coming out, and I love it. And I love like seeing that of like women being empowered and speaking their truth, and, you know, kind of exposing parts of the industry that have been really toxic and unsafe. And I'm like, good, like we should be we need to see. I want it to be a positive place where like I can love working here and like love the people I work with.
Exactly. You want to feel like a safe and like fun environment. Like we're here to make movies and shows. Like it should be fun. It shouldn't feel unsafe.
Right.
So I guess to end it on a positive note, what does a fun, great, typical day at work look like for you? And work, I mean on set.
I mean, it's always early, which you regret in the moment, but then when you do finish like early, then you're really happy to have your evening. But for me, honestly, like a good day on set is just like when everyone's hustling, we're all doing this, and it's like you're working on something exciting, like whatever's on screen or whatever you're filming, you're excited about, and there's like big things happening. But I think just like a big thing is your attitude. Like honestly, your attitude going into a day. Because if you're there for 12 hours and you start with like a shitty attitude, then you're going to have an awful day. But like just go in and like be positive about it. But no, I think like a good day for me is just like kind of realizing like, again, why I'm here, like kind of taking a step back and being like, me 3 years ago would be in shock to know that I'm even like working on a film set right now.
And now you are. And it's like, it's a big set, and it's awesome. It's great. It's going to be such, I mean, it is great experience, and who knows where that's going to take you. And you know, if there's more, if you're going to be working, you know, future seasons or maybe new shows that like other people can connect you to. So it's going to be really exciting to see that. So excited for you.
Thank you. I'm excited. I think it'll be fun to see, you know, I said 3 years ago, but 3 years from now. Reflecting on where I am, like, applying to jobs, figuring out where I'm going to be, what I'm going to be doing. And then 3 years, who knows? Hopefully hopefully not in the exact same spot.
No, you'll be submitting your movies to the Colorado Film Festival. Like, and then it's going to be so cool to be able to like go back to your hometown and be like, yeah, like watch my movie.
I think that's like the dream. Like going to the theater. I grew up going to movies, like and watching movies.
What's the theater?
It's an AMC. It's nothing crazy.
No, but
it's an AMC
I love it.
in Broomfield, Colorado. But like going there and like seeing like my name in the credits or something, like that would be just like a weird kind of full circle moment. Like I grew up going to movies. I fell in love with film going here
at that theater.
Right. And then seeing my own film or my own name working on a film or something would just be like kind of a mind-blowing experience.
I think with that kind of passion, like it's gonna happen, and I think you're shining light to other people that want to join the industry at a young age that it is possible, and you know, you don't have to go to film school.
You don't go to film school. You just have to have a dream and
a dream and
patience,
and there's gonna be days you're gonna get rejected. Like obviously, like who doesn't? But I feel like that's part of the process. The film industry is all about like everything, like rejection, exception, who you know, what you've worked on. Like it's just like a bundle of everything. So once you have dip your toe into a little bit of that, like you're good, you're fine.
Yeah, it builds a thick skin.
Yeah, exactly. I would say that about you too. You have thick skin, but that's part of it. Like
I'm still working on it.
You're like, no, I was crying on the way.
No, I'm just kidding. But there are times like I do feel like it's still a work in progress. I'm always a work in progress, but like building a thick skin where you can accept the rejection and understand like things aren't going to go your way always, but it's because something else is out there that is actually meant for you. So it's like just having that mindset, that switch is really what I would recommend everyone to do. Just like have that switch that things will work in your favor when they're meant to.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great way to end the episode. Thank you so much for joining me. It was great to have you. And I'm so excited to, you know, check in with you in a couple of months and see where you're at, you know?
Me too.
It'll be cool. And I mean, definitely in 3 years, but like that seems too far. So we'll check back in a couple of months and we'll see what's going on.
But I'm super excited. Thank you so much for coming on, and I'll see you guys next week.